everyone. Can you see my PowerPoint? Can you see the slide?
Yeah, sure. We can see the Tao lessons from Confucius.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so namaste everyone. Today it comes to my chance to share Tao lesson from Confucius with you again. Before I start my top speech, I'd like to express my heartfelt gratitude for the grace of heaven, the virtues of our holy teachers, to our grand senior elder Bai Shui Shengdi and senior elder Bu Xiuxi Bodhisattva, and thank you, Master, my Tao brothers, sisters. You always give me some precious opportunity to make this sharing. Thank you very much. Today I would like to continue a topic which I've been talked about several weeks ago. The topic today will focus on brief introduction to one of the great disciples of Confucius, Zeng Shen. Today, this sage, is especially important. So later I'll talk about his importance, and I'll also share some paragraph illustrated by Confucius in the Analects, and this related to him. And there are three paragraphs about Zeng Shen. Okay, so now we are also, as usual, we'll start from Confucius and his disciple. As we know that Confucius is known as the first teacher in China, wants to make education broadly available, and who was instrumental in establishing an art of teaching as a vocation. In teaching, Confucius thinks there should be no distinction in classes. Confucius educates his students in accordance with their ability. He also established ethical, moral, and social standards that form the basis of a way of life known as Confucianism. His teaching has become a prominent milestone in China. I would like to say that because Confucius is so diligent in trying many different methods to teach different students from all over his life, his student gets a lot of spiritual inspiration from his teaching. It was traditionally believed that Confucius had more than 3,000 students, followers, but let only 72 students master what he taught. Very little known that very little is known of most of Confucius' students, but some of them are often mentioned in anecdotes, like such as Yan Hui, Zeng Shen, or Zhongyou Zilu. There are many sages I have talked in several previous weeks. And then Confucius teaches students from different walks of life, so they are from different kind of field, and then they are good at different kind of skills. Today, I'll especially talk about Zheng Shen. Okay, so Zheng Shen, who is better known as Zeng Zi, Master Zeng. Also, we also call Zeng, Master Zeng. Zi means it's a respectable name for a master. So he was a Chinese philosopher and disciple of Confucius. Zeng Shen was 46 years younger than Confucius. So we pay attention here. He's very young when Confucius was already an elder person. So he was a native of South Wu City in the state of Lu, and his father Zeng Dian was also one of the earliest disciples of Confucius. When he was 16, he was later uh, revered as one of the four sages of Confucianism. And then when he was 16, he was sent by his father to study under Confucius. Confucius later considered him to be his second most senior student after Yan Hui. And Duan Mu Zigong said of him, there is no subject which he has not studied. His appearance is respectable. His virtue is solid. His word command credence. He's always keeping his promise. Okay. Before great men, he drew himself up in the pride of self-respect. His eyebrows are those of longevity. So here talk about Zeng Shen was a very sincere but quite hesitating, very careful in doing what he is doing at every moment in his conduct, so that Confucius sometimes called him Dao. Confucius thought that he was a little bit awkward Yet on the other side, he praised him as someone who penetrates the all-pervading unity of Master's doctrine and rightly perceive the principle of human nature and their benevolent exercise toward others. So Zeng Sen was also reversed as one of the four sages of Confucianism. And then in 482 BC, Yan Hui, the most talented disciple of Confucius, died of illness. As we know, as I was talking about in previous weeks, he passed away in a very early age, and Zeng Sen became the main successor of Confucius' thought. And then on his deathbed, Confucius entrusted his grandson Zisi to Zeng Sen. Here is a especially important moment because Zisi is another sage's teacher. He is Mencius' teacher. So it's a kind of pass down the kind of road to Dao cultivation. Confucius is entrust his Dao to Zeng Sen and to Zisi, and then to Mencius. So Zeng Sen plays a very important role in the history of Confucianism. He participated in the compilation of the Analect of Confucius, and he wrote great learning and classic of filial piety. Here I would like to especially talk about Xiao. He's one of four core concepts of Zheng Sen's philosophy is filial piety because he especially paid attention to it, and there was to be observed beyond the parents' lifetime. He's therefore credited with the authorship of the book of classic filial piety. Legend has it that Zeng Sen was born in a poor family and was known for his filial piety. He is extremely filial to his mother. Once, when he was out gathering firewood, some visitors showed up at his home, and his mother had no arrangements to treat them. In ancient time, if your friend, some visitor come to visit you, if you don't arrange anything, there will be some kind of impolite. So his mother was a little bit nervous, and his mother didn't know what to do, and just bit her finger, and hope that Zheng Sen, her son, would say something and came home quickly. As she expected, Zheng Sen just felt a sharp pain in his heart. He shouldered his firewood and came back home as soon as possible. So, and then she kneeling and asked his mother what happened. And his mother said, "Oh, there are several guests just came unexpectedly, so that's why I bit my finger to alert you." So here we can see the close tie between the tie between mother and child was so deep that he can feel what happened to his mother at the same time. So that's why they are closely tied together. Now we are going to see Zeng Sen in the Analect. There are three very important paragraphs. So that's the first one. Philosophers say, Zeng Sen said, I daily examine myself 3 points. 三件事,三省吾身. Whether in transacting business for others, I may have been not faithful. Whether in intercourse with friends, making making friends, I may have been not sincere. Whether I may have mastered and practiced the instruction of my teaching. So Zheng Sen paid very great attention to the cultivation of self, and each day lay austerity. Austerity means the severity of the manner and the attitude on his mind, in order to achieve perfect loyalty toward others and right truthfulness toward his friends. So that's why when Confucius was still alive, he especially prayed for his great virtue. Here comes another one. This is especially important. Okay, the master say, Son, my doctrine is that of all-pervading unity. 无道一贯之，一以贯之. The disciple son replied, Yes, I got it. Then the master went out. The other disciple they didn't understand, and they said, what does his word mean? Zeng said, the doctrine of our master is to be true to the principle of our nature and the benevolent exercise of lend to others. This and nothing more. 夫子之道，忠恕而已。OK，忠恕之道。Sorry. Okay, the road to loyalty, faithfulness. Sorry. The road to faithfulness. sorry. 我不应该点那个。This one. Okay. Okay. So the core of Confucianism lies in benevolence. We know it's Ren. The Chinese name is Ren, which contains such contents. Here's a large variety of contents, such as virtue and humanity, doctrine of loyalty and consideration, forgiveness, loving everything, and harmony between man and nature. So Zeng here recapitulated Confucius' theory as loyalty and forgiveness. He turned the way of thinking to heart especially by loyalty, and emphasizing the importance of introspectiveness. So he's always looking into his true self. He tried to examine whether he has done the bad things or good things, or he say some good words, do some good things to others, or he has done some whether he has done some good things and try to help others, something like that. So he's emphasized the importance of introspectiveness. Okay, then here come to the third one. The philosopher Shen said, officer may not be without breadth of mind and vigorous endurance. His burden is heavy, and his course is long. Perfect virtue is a burden which is considered it is his to sustain. Is it not heavy? Only with death does his course stop. It's not that long. Okay? Here I'll try to translate in an easy way. Aspiring people must cultivate a strong will because the responsibility is heavy and the road is far away. Isn't it a good responsibility to realize the true meaning of Tao? Is it like a way to strive for the ideal for life? Here, after Zeng Shen became the successor of Confucius' thought, he knew that the duty of Tao cultivation is heavier than before. So that's why he never let up on himself. He never gave up introspectiveness. He never stopped his Tao cultivation. So we are now the disciples of Qigong Living Buddha, and we should always remind us to learn Tao and continue the way of Tao cultivation, because it's a lifelong mission for us to polish ourselves on the way back to the heaven. Okay, so here comes to my conclusion. Um, I think this is the last class for this year for my class, and for many weeks I've shared many stories about Confucius' disciple, and I would like to say thank you for all of my Tao brother sister to listen and come to the online class. And I think it's important for us to think about it. If we want to achieve Buddhahood, the first thing we need to do is cultivate ourselves and learn virtue from ancient saints. Think about it. Those disciples show their great virtues in their daily life, such as filial piety, or benevolence, or some righteousness, So that's why they have been praised for thousands of years. Confucius told students not only the importance of ceremony and etiquette, but also he told them how to apply the wisdom of life, those wisdoms, those merits, and those virtues into their daily life, such as filial piety, righteousness, benevolence, or some other good virtues. So then his students just follow one of the principle and then they become saints and sages. So what? How about you? You we are the same. We have a chance. Now we can become sages and saints. So that's why Chinese people address him as the greatest sages and teacher. Okay, so this is all my sharing today. Thank you for coming to the online class for the whole year. For all the mistakes I have made, I beg God's and Buddha's forgiveness. And Master, my dear brother, sister, please kindly give me your comments, suggestions. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Lecturer Hong, for bringing us this wonderful class. For a very clear introduction to Zeng, especially for his filial piety, and that's very impressive one. And also, he's what's the most important thing is he's a successor of Confucius, because he can just realize what Confucius said from from something very hard to understand, and he just translated the Tao from Confucius as loyalty and forgiveness. And with loyalty and forgiveness, we can just cultivate our benevolence and our Buddhahood. And also, he also set up a good example that he told us to examine ourselves every day. Maybe he examined himself for doing three things, but maybe we can examine ourselves for something that you take it as the most important. And I believe by introspecting every day and night, we will become better and better because we know what we are short of and what we are good at. So we can become better. That's what we learned from Jensen's class. And we thank Lecturer Hong for bringing us this wonderful class today. Let's give him another applause. Okay, Shibon brother, you have the floor, please.